It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Muttering for it. Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
I love you.
I know.
Get to the chopper!
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
I see dead people.
Milk was a bad choice.
Oh, hey, there it is. Hello, and welcome to How to Be a Movie Snob. We've got not one, not two, but three contestants here on the How to Be a Movie Snob podcast, starting with their hot take from sunny Seattle, Mr. Patrick, first time in the studio.
Yeah. Hey, guys.
Hey.
Good to see you.
Thanks for coming.
Not through a screen, I think.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see. We might need to go back to that.
Yeah, I have a hot take. I would say my hot take is I prefer Rocky.
Yeah. You know why? It's because of that Steadicam. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, we can get into it.
Yeah, no,
I think there's more than
It's a hot take.
hot take. I like that. That's a good hot take. All right. From the beautiful Dallas, Oregon.
Sunny City.
Sunny City. What's your hot take?
This movie is a black and white version of Goodfellas.
Yes, it is. My hot take is, I don't know if this should be the snobbiest sports movie, but it's definitely a less gooder Taxi Driver. That's right, folks. Less gooder Taxi Driver.
Less gooder.
You got that here first. If you haven't guessed it, our movie this week is the Robert De Niro and Martin Scorsese classic, Raging Bull.
Raging Bull.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, was this your first time watching?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I'd seen what?
That's
I
great.
thought I might have seen it, but I did not see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the movies we watch, I've
Yeah.
seen bits of it lots of times.
Sure.
But I've never seen it stern to... What's the term?
Stem to stern.
Start to finish.
Beginning
I was thinking
to
Beginning to
end.
end.
I was thinking
Alpha,
some-
Alpha and the Omega.
Stern to
Head
something.
to toe.
I can't
Oh, steer to...
Yeah.
Are we going bold terms here?
It could be.
Some bold terms.
But yeah, no, it was first time actually getting to experience the journey of Jake LaMotta.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to talk about. Mr. Jake LaMotta. Very real, very alive, very still kind of around the scene. Well,
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Out, so.
Speaking of that,
Oh, yeah.
before
Mr.
we
Jake.
actually get into the details of the movie,
Mm-hmm.
Jack,
Right.
do people say Jack for Jake?
Yes.
Since when?
The 80s.
Jack and John, I mean, that makes less sense, but I'm used to that.
Well, I had a friend named Jacob Jack, and it was very confusing.
That is confusing.
That's different, though.
But
I feel like I just went left turn here.
Joe
I
Pesci.
have a friend.
Joe Pesci went between Jake and Jack constantly.
Constantly.
And I thought, are you messing this up? Or is this... But I think other characters did it. But it was like, what?
Well, you didn't call him Bob.
You're
so
not
that's
shortening it.
No.
Anyway, that's my
good.
tangent.
Jakey, Jackie.
Jake or Jack? Jack or Jake?
Just pick it. Jack Kennedy. Well, yeah, I've never heard him called Jake Kennedy. Good point. All right. Well, it's time for the Summer Rising. And this is brought to you by no one.
Nobody.
Not sullied by sponsors since 2022. All right, Mariah, take it away.
This movie
This movie.
This one?
takes place in the early 1940s, and it follows a young boxer.
Why, wherever could this Scorsese movie take place?
In a city, the Bronx.
The Bronx.
And he has a brother who's kind of his trainer, coach, buddy,
Manager,
helper.
trainer.
Not sure. Good question.
Voice of reason.
Number
Sometimes.
one.
Yeah.
confidant.
Yeah. So he's focusing on his boxing,
Blamer of women, I think is what
and then
it was.
we take a little sidetrack, and he meets a 15-year-old girl at a pool.
Yeah. That's the oldest 15-year-old. I'm pretty sure the actress was older than 15.
I bet she was a skosh older.
Well, and I think Jake LaMotta was meant to be pretty young. 20?
Yeah.
Oh, so his first. I didn't.
What
look
was
at the details.
confusing? I mean, we can get into some of the issues with this, and maybe
Sure.
Scorsese's fun with people aging over a millennia, basically, and looking the same or looking with interesting makeup. But like, you know, we went from the 40s to when was his last fight? 56 or something. A long time.
Yeah.
It was a long time. And so when we first meet him, he's young. Like, it's supposed to be
super young.
So I don't know how creepy the age difference is when we start, but he's already married. So then it gets weird.
Yes.
I mean, it's creepy.
I have problems with losing that first wife. I thought she was kind of good.
Yeah, I'm gonna rewind. It's creepy. She's 15. It's creepy, but
okay, so
unclear what anyone's age actually was.
No. So yeah.
Anywho, he magically gets divorced and marries her.
She's gone.
16-year-old. They have a litter of children.
They do have a few. Is it
in an
three?
undetermined amount of time.
No clue.
Yeah.
Eventually
No
3.
clue.
By the time he's big in Florida.
That's right.
There are 3.
Yeah. Little Joey and a couple girls, I think. Something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. They didn't really matter.
Anywho.
They were there when it was convenient for the scene. And
this is-
gone when it didn't matter.
This movie is as much mental health as it is boxing.
Oh,
and the guy
more
was
so.
paranoid, jealous, insecure. Yeah. So he makes a lot of bad choices. He gets a little defensive, picks a few fights outside the ring.
Yeah.
And
He does win a champion. He does win the world.
he does get a title.
He gets the belt.
Finally gets the title.
And then loses the belt. But yeah.
Yeah.
And then he goes into oblivion. And in classic snobby movies, there's no real end. It's just kind of like,
Just sort of ends.
and just kind of, he's there now.
And is
Cut.
there redemption?
Cut to stand-up comedy.
Yeah. And a quote from a Marlon Brando movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
I actually
man.
kind of like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So De Niro, I thought there was interesting like backstory to the making of this movie.
Oh, I
in
think
some
it's
ways more.
That's the
than
best
movie.
part.
I would
of the whole
argue
thing.
more. Well, so many good backstories with both the director and Jake LaMotta.
Yeah.
Those are kind of the interesting parts that make this movie
but
like whoa.
but De Niro read this book and was like, "Oh, we should make a movie of this." And I was trying to figure out like what was the hook. Was it like, oh, that's an interesting like portrayal I could have? Is it just interesting that a boxer becomes a comedian? You know, like what I couldn't quite figure out like what was the appeal of this guy's story?
Right.
Because as a human,
Right.
he's not my favorite guy.
Very
This guy-
multifaceted.
He's not my kind of guy.
And apparently it wasn't super well written.
Yeah.
Like there
His
was a
book.
lot of redoing to get. I mean, so
Or
for
the
him
first
to
script.
read the book
Yeah.
and say, "I wanted this should be a movie," that seemed like something spoke to him.
Yeah. Yeah. So do we dig into the movie or do we dig into the making of the movie first?
Let's start out with
Tangent City.
Oh, I know so much. See, I want to talk about Scorsese and how he even got to making this movie. So let's start there before we get into the actual movie because
Not just how he got into the movie, but also thinking this would be his last movie.
for
American.
sure.
Anyway.
Yeah. Here's the thing about cocaine.
4
in the
decades
80s.
later.
Cocaine in the 80s was a real thing. And that is arguably to blame, if not Liza Minnelli, for this movie.
Yeah, way to go, Liza.
So we all read up on this a little bit. Who wants to go into this?
Mariah's papers in front of us.
Oh, you want to do
Just
New York?
holding them.
Okay. Well,
Seems very knowledgeable.
have either one
I
of
was
you
hoping that they would
seen
pick this up on the.
No, the movie before
the
this?
New York?
No.
Has either one of you seen that? Because
No.
that is literally the reason why we have Raging Bull.
His
I don't
mom.
think anyone's seen it.
Oh
Yeah, I think that was
I
the
don't think
problem.
so either. They say it reminded me of Wong Kar-wai because there was like all like ad lib, and the editing room was a mess, and Liza Minnelli just started writing her own scripts, and like because Scorsese was starting to sleep with Liza Minnelli. And doing
As one does.
As directors and lead actresses do.
More people than you'd think.
What, man. And doing lots of cocaine, which he was getting into. And he had an unlimited budget and unlimited freedom. All of this.
Turns out, not a great combination.
Not a great combination.
No, not the makings for a good one.
Even for good directors, there's something about restraints that gets stuff done, you know? Actually, something about it. So.
And restrained usage of cocaine.
Yeah, it was hard though. You know, how many movies were made purely on cocaine? Caddyshack, I'm looking at you.
Spielberg, or not Spielberg, Stephen King.
I think everyone but.
Yeah.
What was the Stephen King, all the machines came to life with Emilio Estevez? That was entirely cocaine fueled.
Really? Yeah. See, I'm telling you, I think
I don't know what it is.
there was a
Research
lot of
team.
things. Research team.
I feel so. I'm used to 2 giant monitors.
I know this is
And
now
a
you have-
computer.
and now you have
Now you'll all know that I have to like
Beep, beep, beep.
look at things.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. No, for sure. So that was
Anyway,
that
it's
was
not a good combination.
Yeah.
A research team will
Maximum
get up.
Overdrive.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, that was a good movie. Oh, with the truck. Oh my
Yeah.
god. That was a crazy movie.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, it is.
I'm suddenly having
delight.
flashbacks.
It's on Pluto.
But that is very
Watch now for free.
Oh.
Stephen King. Apparently, does not remember a lot of that movie.
Oh, that's fair. That although I feel like you need to be on something to watch it. So it could, it goes back and forth. Anyways, so this movie was kind of a redemption movie for Scorsese.
Yep.
And possibly Robert De Niro talked him off a cliff from like, not make a movie. Because he was, by the way, when he was dating Liza Minnelli, he was married, by the way. So of course, it wasn't a good time for the old Martin, if you will.
Yes.
So then he leaves everyone, and then he realizes he gets some bad cocaine, and he almost dies, and then
he's real depressed.
De
Niro was like, "Hey, let's make."
But I think he needed.
boxing movie.
I think he needed to get there to identify with the character. He was because he didn't want to do sports. He still hates sports.
Yeah.
Doesn't like sports. Didn't
Well,
want to
and
do a
there's
sports
only-
movie.
There's only 10 minutes of boxing in this sports movie.
Yeah, not a lot.
It's surprising because it felt like more.
Yeah, they're pretty.
It felt like.
But also, how much boxing is actually happening in Rocky movies?
Well, like the last half hour of Rocky is always boxing.
The fight scenes are
Like the
so
final
long.
fight. And if you're not boxing, you're
Training. Yeah, he doesn't do a lot of training.
Not much training montage.
Well, his wife's face.
Yeah, his
No.
wife's.
You see him. You see him in like some sweat lodge one time when it's like
When he had to lose all that weight.
right, and it sets up like
Not because he was
him being
training, he was
paranoid
just
about
trying
Vicky.
to make weight.
And then the
By the way,
fun.
I did find it ironic that the character had to lose weight, and this is one of the things I remember about this movie is De Niro gaining weight.
Yeah.
60
well, I think he had to do.
pounds.
I think he had to do both because he was. I mean, he was trim and like for movie stars of that time,
Oh, sure.
way buffer than
Yeah.
a lot of people would ever get. Like this is pre
I love how he went.
Arnold and
Yeah.
Sylvester getting ripped.
Yes, they were.
I
as
love-
action hero.
They were
types.
not movie stars yet. Yeah.
I love how he went to go gain the weight. Like he ended up going to France and like just
No way.
eating like the richest, most delicious delicacy food for like 4 months or something.
And then just
Yeah. Like I'm
chugging
gonna go gain
milkshakes
some
and-
weight in Europe.
You know the irony of that? That's probably still healthier than most American diets today. That's the irony
Yeah.
of that whole situation there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think his method is still kind of used by people who've done similar things. He set the table.
Yeah,
so
If you're gonna do it, you might as well
Or,
enjoy that food.
gaining
Set
weight
the
in a
table.
fun way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think about great weight gains in movie history. Let's talk about our favorite weight gains and losses of movie history.
Intentional or unintentional?
Well,
Marlon Brando.
Marlon Brando. We're looking at you, buddy. Still looking at you. Copland was Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
Now he gained a fair bit.
Matt Damon and The Informant.
He didn't know he was supposed to gain that much weight, but he did know. And an heir. And he's an heir. He looks bad too.
Apparently Ryan Gosling gained too much weight for oh shoot, what's the creepy
La La Land.
No. It was Peter Jackson, research team. Come on. Peter Jackson's foray outside of Lord of the Rings for a bit. And
not Godzilla.
No. It was about like a child killer. Anyway, it got recast with Marky Mark. The Lovely Bones ended up becoming the dad because Peter Jackson didn't know Ryan Gosling was going to go gain a bunch of weight. And he's like, this dad should be fat. So Ryan Gosling gained a bunch of weight and then got recast.
Like, no.
So funny.
So I do enjoy that.
That's pretty funny.
Don't take liberties and just assume you should get
this guy should be fat.
That's so great.
Russell Crowe just got bigger, and I enjoy him in roles after he got bigger.
Yeah, Brendan Fraser.
On the flip side, Christian Bale's the grossest.
The Machinist
lost weight situation.
Yep. It is interesting with bodies now because everyone does like these obscenely muscular frames now. But back then it was like that gaining weight seemed like the pinnacle of like what a Hollywood actor could do.
Yeah, you get an Oscar nom.
Yeah.
Also,
gain a bunch of weight.
Shout out to Rob.
Val Kilmer. He gained a bunch of weight for a while.
Shout out to Rob McElhenney gaining 60 pounds for one season of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia because he thought that would be funny.
Yeah.
And then came back later and became like super ripped.
He's he's ridiculously different looking now.
That's also one of my favorite
Oh.
gaining weight stories.
Mark Wahlberg and Father Stu apparently gained a little bit of weight. Wow, we're all back. That is amazing. He really did gain it.
What was his story?
Rob McElhenney's?
Yeah.
In the show? Or?
Well, no, yeah, I know the show. How did he actually do it?
Oh, he similar, just ate a bunch of crap.
Delicious food.
I think he started trying to research it and he was asking doctors like, how do you do this? And they were like, you don't.
You
don't
should not
gain a lot of weight.
do that.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So it became like, all right.
Yeah,
I think
they
he
were
still
saying
tried.
they were saying De Niro, it was like affecting his breathing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he couldn't do scenes that long.
Yeah.
He was out of breath.
I can't do it.
Oh, that's crazy.
I imagine at the last shot of the movie where he's sort of shadow boxing. And,
Yeah.
I'm the
I
boss,
bet
I'm the
that
boss,
took
I'm the
a
boss.
lot.
Oh, yeah. I bet he was a hurting unit. And I mean, he did have a shirt off a decent amount. I figured it felt like there was a midway point because he came back not fat, but he was
He had
bigger.
a bit of a tummy.
When Joe Pesci's giving him a hard time in the TV scene. That was a crazy looking TV. Never did get it working.
No, never did. Which was great. I thought
Can
that was a great scene.
Can I say as much as I didn't love this movie? Well, I liked a lot of parts, some things about it. I loved Joe Pesci in this movie. I feel like it was one of my favorite Joe Pesci performances, and it was like his coming out
It's his first movie. Right?
Well, I think
He'd been in bits, I think.
he feels or became like a caricature of himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially Goodfellas. Everyone quotes Goodfellas all the time.
Yeah.
Animaniacs. I still remember the pigeons.
And as half of the Wet Bandits,
That's right.
That's right.
he's
Probably didn't do him too many favors.
but he was wonderful.
I loved it. I felt like it was the realest.
No, yeah, he was great.
He certainly did do a caricature of himself in many other movies.
Yeah. But yeah, I felt like he was a real guy in a weird situation with his brother. There was a lot of like great backstory built into just their relationship on screen versus needing to know a lot about it. Because I think at some point he was a boxer and gave up his thing,
And their dad made them fight when they were kids, and people would the neighborhood would toss them money.
Like for real, the Labana story, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that.
But none of that was explicit in the movie, but you felt like there was something there in their relationship that I really liked.
And I think maybe the brother, are they half brothers?
I'm not sure.
They maybe don't have the same dad.
Oh.
Or they have the same dad, not the same.
I didn't get in a lot of the fact versus fiction. I do know the brother and a friend,
Joey's older.
maybe named Patrick, got like merged into one role.
Oh, that makes sense.
You know, movie.
That happens,
Movie.
yeah.
Simplifying.
Save some money.
Well, actually, getting back into the movie, unless we want to talk about backstory and cocaine.
I think this is the big one, just of how crazy we almost lost one of the great filmmakers of our time.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
And the
either
fact
to
that 40
cocaine or
years-
to Europe.
yeah.
Yeah, 40 years ago, he thought this would be his last
Which is
movie.
hilarious.
And he still has another movie coming out.
Yeah.
Some people were talking about how like Scorsese's a genre film guy, like he's always crime. Which, if you watched the movie before this, he definitely is not. He definitely has a lot of.
But maybe he should be.
Yeah, man.
Stay in your lane.
But one guy said, yeah, the genre though is always New York. He's
Yes.
always in New York. There's
Gangs
nothing
in
else.
New York. Well, he did The Departed, and that was Boston.
That's true. It was wicked awesome too.
So
Wicked
he
Awesome.
broke the rule. But crime.
It was good.
Crime. Yeah.
Yeah, So I was pretty shocked by the amount of wife beating in the movie. It's one of those things, like every time we go back and watch some of these older
Right.
movies, I'm like, oh yeah. Like either just, well, and obviously people are like this now, but like as the protagonist of a movie
Yeah.
that we're supposed to like, I guess, or root for in some ways.
Right. In the Martin Scorsese way. 'Cause
Yeah.
He's notorious for not having good characters
Yeah.
as leads.
But you're like, oh God, Jake, come on, man.
Yeah. Not only is she really young, but yeah, you're hitting her
Oh yeah,
a
you're
lot.
threatening to kill your first wife, who disappears. Maybe she did die. We don't know.
Yeah. Let's get down to the bottom of
yeah,
that.
that's for sure.
And then creep in on underage girls, and then beating them.
Well, and then going to jail for introducing underage girls.
Yes. Yeah, and his test to tell if
Allegedly.
you're 21.
Yep,
My goodness, there was a lot of that I
So gross.
and even the moral line between both Jake and Joey with like one time Jake told Joey not to swear,
yeah, that was
and
so
then like
funny.
the
Just
next
stop
line,
swearing. Yeah.
next line drops an F-bomb. But like
Yeah.
when it's like, oh, you shouldn't. I mean, Joey was manic with his advice too. Like, go make up with her. And then like, why are you still with her? Like, she's driving you crazy. And
Yeah.
you're like, what is your goal here, man?
Oh no! Yeah, it's like
Do you want him to be a good husband, or do you
Oh, and
want him
then
to
he-
be single?
And then he confronts her at the bar.
That was interesting too.
But then he does kind of make that transition to like, okay, this guy is completely off his rocker and I need to distance myself and I'm going to stick up for her one time and then I'm going to.
Yeah, kind of. But then, when his wife like says, oh, she didn't mean anything by it, when you're talking about, the pretty young fighter, she's like, mind your business. Like,
Yeah, mind your
it's like,
business.
what? It was like the most harmless,
Yeah.
supportive comment.
They
and,
both have short fuses.
and he's
for
like,
sure.
how dare you say anything,
Yeah.
woman?
Yeah.
That all was like, man, that's a bummer that this is just a thing.
The part that was the hardest for me of all of that was when literally he's punching his brother, his wife gets in the way, he punches his wife in the face
Oh, yeah. Like,
And she
knocks her
gets
out
knocked
cold,
out.
basically.
and knocks out, and then she comes back,
Yeah, with a
And that-
huge messed up
and
jaw.
then she stays,
Oh, yeah.
and that was the scene, like the violence. I'm like, yeah, this shows how awful it is, but then it's like, and then it's just, and the final straw when she leaves, they don't let us know. That was the crazy part. Like a lot of times in movies today, you would get like this build up to this moment, and that's why they leave. But that when she leaves later in the film, it's for undetermined reasons and just maybe all the things together. And so
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting. Like there was no build up or why she leaves.
Right. There was no scene that was the breaking point.
Yeah.
And she wasn't even in the bar seeing
Yeah.
what he was doing. She just happened to be like, okay, this is the day.
But she knew.
But she did say
she
she was
totally
kind of getting stuff together. She got a lawyer.
Yeah.
She had,
I felt like that
she was
actually-
working on it.
That actually felt pretty true to life in that,
Yeah.
like, you know, you have to just pull the trigger at some opportunistic point. Like he was,
and maybe there
not in
wasn't an
control.
event that
And so
made her
she-
decide, but it was.
I think she decided when he punched her at some point she was going to have to leave him.
Yeah.
And it took whatever 10 years to actually do it. I also think it was, you know, the movie's more from Jake's perspective.
Yep.
And so
That's true.
Sure.
we, you know, like him being unaware of maybe what the last thing was outside of knowing what he did kind of makes sense too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting. I mean, obviously the wives got shortchanged in this movie as characters.
Yeah, I would have been interested to see more of the first one.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we got nothing other than to just
And he kept
show
sticking
us.
up for her. He'd be like, "Oh no, it's fine," you know. Like Joey's like, "How come you're just gonna let her talk to you like that?" And blah 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 blah. I don't think did they show him hitting her? I
No,
think
but
it
he
was just
flipped
the
the table when she like brought the steak over,
Yeah.
and then she went and locked herself in the room because clearly he had hit her. You know, I think it was just one of those. We don't have to see it because
They've already established their relationship
Yeah,
dynamic.
So,
but I did. You go on.
No, go ahead. No. Hey. What do you mean by that? What?
Why
Hey.
I oughta hit me?
That we've talked about this with other movies about like with The Shining, that it feels so much like Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
And it's hard because this is like the original Joe Pesci movie, but we've seen him caricatured so often that we just like, oh, it's the Joe Pesci thing.
Yeah.
But no, we have to remember this when this first came out. It was like, okay.
There wasn't
Okay.
a Joe Pesci.
And the irony is Robert De Niro was feeling more Joe Pesci like because he was like getting angry about every little thing.
Yeah.
And it's just
Yeah, Joe Pesci as the sane one out of the two was kind of interesting.
was
right?
very unusual.
Yeah.
But he played it pretty close to still stick up for his brother, but not be as much of a psycho.
Oh, that whole scene outside of the club when he like hitting
At the
that guy
end?
with the door.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because so you know, like,
I just
he's got
remembered
it.
that.
Also,
part.
that's not the last
Like,
time he slammed somebody in the door,
whoa.
right? Isn't that a classic Joe Pesci move?
That is a
at this
classic
point?
Joe Pesci move. That's true.
Yeah, that was interestingly
It was
unhinged.
intense.
And yeah, he kept scampering away. I loved like how emasculated I forget the guy's name, the other guy with the tiniest forehead. Sal.
Yeah, something like that.
Like he had to sit in that meeting with Tommy
Oh, that was
and Joey and be like, all right, shake hands. And this guy like
Salvi.
got the
Salvatore
crap.
Bats.
Yeah.
Salvi Bats.
That's a great name.
got the crap kicked out of him, and Joe Pesci's just sitting there like, yeah, all right, we can be like water under the bridge.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, he's all got a sling and his face
Basically
is
in a
messed
full
up.
body cast. He's
so
like,
funny.
shake his hand.
By the way, did you know that this De Niro won the Oscar for this movie?
I think I didn't know that.
Yeah. I guess he did.
This got very nominated for lots of things.
lots
didn't
of things. Yeah. All the things. Best film editing as well. Thelma.
Yeah,
Shoemaker.
who was a college friend of Martin Scorsese's, apparently. And I forget if it was this one was the first time she could actually be credited as an editor. There was something about the editing
interesting.
guild where women were not initially allowed, or some such nonsense. And then she's edited a bunch of his stuff since. Very good.
She's won 2 more Oscars for The Departed, of course, and The Aviator.
There you go.
Nice work. Age 83.
But yeah, I think she and Scorsese went to school together.
Yeah, I was going to say Scorsese's about that old.
Yeah, it's about right.
Do we want to talk about the black and white and even the why of the black and white?
Well, let's talk about the black and white. And you've already mentioned Rocky in your intro there, so that did kind
The
of
colors.
help us.
Rocky's so colorful. Did you
It
guys
is
notice
so
that?
colorful.
Although I think the movie poster of Rocky is maybe black and white.
I think it is. But yeah, didn't they say that he chose to do black and white for Raging Bull because
I have two reasons.
I also
there was
heard
like
two
the
reasons.
color of the glove?
That's what I heard as well.
Something was wrong about the color of the gloves.
Yeah. So it's like, let's just black and white
Yeah.
it.
And
But really, they don't want to be Rocky.
yeah.
That was the real reason.
Well,
It sounds like.
and he wanted to show a lot of blood without showing a lot of blood.
Yeah.
This is sort of
Like the blood on the ropes, that would have been pretty gross if it had been.
Yeah.
That's true.
Which, Quentin Tarantino did a similar thing with the theatrical release of Kill Bill 1, I think.
Really?
When you go into the giant showdown with all the samurai,
Yeah.
it went black and white.
No way.
I'm pretty sure.
That would make sense.
Huh.
I think I was keying around.
I feel like it was a good choice to go black and white.
Same. And then really interesting when they show the video footage being in color. Like the filmed memories in the movie were in color and everything else was in black and white.
Wow. I didn't even notice that. I didn't even click in my brain that was in color.
I did notice a couple times they shot to like a newspaper article or something, and it was the actual family.
Oh yeah, that
was
was
it-
interesting.
I
too,
was
yeah.
like, oh, they're showing like real pictures.
I think when
not
he got
just the
I forget if he got when he was got blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And take two.
Yeah, when he got arrested
There we go.
or when he threw the fight. I forget. There was a newspaper article of actual Jake LaMotta, which I thought was interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a weird to switch that back and forth.
But there was also some quote of Jake LaMotta's where when he looked back on his life, it felt like a black and white movie he had said or something.
Oh,
which,
there we go.
Maybe
Yeah,
that's
that's nice.
someone rewrote that to make it
Or
work for
he
the
said
movie.
it after the fact.
Mm.
Oh,
I thought that
felt
was pretty
like it.
cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, it just made it kind of interesting. I don't know what it would have looked like, all color, but
Yeah.
it did
I
add some
imagine I would have
class.
liked it less.
It also makes it timeless because you just don't know when it was made. Like I
Yes.
didn't know this movie was 1980.
Yeah.
That's the other thing too. Like I didn't know it was being filmed at the same time Rocky was being filmed.
Yeah.
That would have been like, oh, why are you? It's surprising. It's surprising that it came out. Kind of like when like every movie had someone shooting a bow and arrow like 10 years ago.
When all the volcano movies came
Yep,
out.
all the volcano
Yeah.
movies came out for a while,
The
Earthquake.
movies.
and then all the superhero movies. Oh wait, we're still in that era.
Going strong.
In that era.
But yeah, that was one of those I think at first. Also, it wasn't widescreen, which was probably just because of the time.
Oh yeah.
What was the format? It was I had bars on the sides. I
Oh, you
forget.
did? Oh, on the side. So it must have been like the old.
4:3 or
Yeah, something
something.
like that.
But it made it have a quality to me that was like more like a story you were being told as opposed to reality, which I think is also kind of appropriate for this character.
And it felt like it was closer to the era it was being filmed. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it didn't feel like an 80s movie.
Yeah.
That's it. The problem with, even Taxi Driver feels more of the era, that late 70s.
Oh yeah. Like
than-
gritty
yeah.
New York in that way.
And this one, you really couldn't tell. Like, really, it could have been as, like, the Hitchcock movie we watched, Rear Window, or it could be gritty New York. It could have been both. Because with the black and white, there's a kind of a cleanness to it.
Yeah.
That you're not sure which way it would go. Like, the pool scene would have been totally different if you saw colors and, like, if there was filth or if it was, like, perfectly done. But in black and white, it's like...
Well, yeah. And
Yeah, you could only tell by the swimsuits
That was
what
it.
you'd want it to be like almost
that it was the
Technicolor,
40s.
Yeah. like bright to
Yeah.
Like
add all this
like
glamour
Hitchcock
or whatever,
or
and then
yeah.
but then that would have felt weird. I did love, actually, speaking of that scene and thinking about the acting, like De Niro's like dorky but cool guy for like a teenager
Yeah.
approach to her, I thought was like pretty charming, ignoring that he was too old and she was too young. It was like this funny, hey, my brother wants to meet you, and
Yeah.
and like,
Oh, yeah.
he's got that.
Sitting in this cool car.
Yeah, he's just
Yeah.
putting
Oh.
the vibe out. And
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
walking over and he's always hiking his pants up and little
Yep.
finger shake. I thought that was kind of adorable ignoring again, he was there to cheat on his wife with an underage girl. The idea of a young De Niro,
You can get past that.
if you can ignore all of the context, the young De Niro being like a cool, like trying to be a cool guy, was like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was kind of adorable.
It just spoke more to his like insecurities.
Yes.
You know, like, because there's just so much where that paranoia comes from and like anger and.
Yeah.
I think. Can I bring up the R issue, the Rocky of the room?
We're talking about Rocky again. Okay, go
Well, I
on.
want to bring up Rocky.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So some of the issues I had with the movie that I think Rocky did well, and obviously they're very
Did you
different.
watch Rocky this week? to
Not this
compare
week,
it?
but like a couple months ago.
Oh, wow, okay.
Quinn and I
there
have
you
been
go.
working our ways through the Rockies.
Oh, which one number are you on now?
4 is what we're doing, and I'm going to do the new director's cut.
Oh my gosh. You got to watch the original Drago.
Well, it's supposedly like better with Sylvester uncutting it.
Can't be worse.
I know. I know. And that's one of those ones, like, I have so much nostalgic love for that movie.
Me too. That's the one
that
I have the
if
most
I can watch
nostalgic.
the best version of it, and
Oh,
it's like,
sure.
hey, it's as good as I remember.
Yeah.
Anyway, the
No,
first
4
Rocky,
is the one I've seen the most, unfortunately.
I think there's so much clarity around like Rocky's situation in life, as far as like his career as a boxer, how much money he's not making, like his apartment situation, how much money none of them have, right? Like, but in this, where we meet Jake, he's already into his career as a boxer.
Yeah.
He's had some pretty big fights.
Yeah.
I don't know if his apartment is good or bad.
Agreed.
I don't know if he's successful.
Because
he's
back
not
in
making
the 40s, you wouldn't necessarily know if you're living in a.
I think until he gets to Florida and has like the pool and like the 2 Cadillacs or whatever they were. I don't think they were Cadillacs, but
Right.
you're like, okay, so now he's doing good financially. Up until that point, I have no clue if he's hard up for money, if he's not. And so there's this weird, like, I don't, like, to me, the movie became about, like, nothing's ever enough for Jake LaMotta. Like, he's always looking for that next thing. You know, he wants to be a champ. He wants a younger wife. He wants to be a comedian. He wants to be a, hotshot club guy, after going to the Copa. Like, he wants all these things. Nothing he has is ever good enough. And so he makes dumb decisions in order to get that. In Rocky, and maybe this is, I'm, mid, I'm basic, is like, he's down on his luck. He's doing the only jobs he can do. He's not a great fighter. And it's kind of clear where he's at and where he can go. And I love that about that movie. And like, in a similar way, he's charming, but he's not as creepy charming. There's still a little creepiness with how
You also have
Rocky
to.
1 is awesome.
You also have to take into
forceful he
account
is
that this
with
is a
Adrian.
biography,
Yes.
and Rocky is not.
Right.
Rocky is a.
Yeah, it's that
What?
movie's
He
meant to
was
be about hope.
written for
What?
him to be
Yes.
a hero. He was.
Yes.
Like.
What?
But I think there's still
The
just
sad news is for this
context.
movie, you have to keep like telling
Yeah.
somewhat
But I
the
think
truth
there's-
about how it went.
There's still just context that you get about
Yeah.
what's driving the character. And I think in Raging Bull, it's just like he's just, it's in the name. He's just got rage, or he's got, words. We said it already. Not
Low
anxieties.
self-esteem.
Low self-esteem.
Yeah. Also, they do kind of touch on like the fights that were really close and that never went in his favor.
Right. And I wasn't
And so
even
it's
sure
like,
how real that
Yeah.
was.
Did that really happen, or was it his perception of how it was? Like, oh, it's
Yeah.
because.
Well,
He's a
yes.
victim.
The fights, I of course looked up some of the fights because I thought that was freaking awesome. And he was a crazy, like, left himself open when he went for the fights, which he just took
Yeah, kind of rope-a-dope.
real soft. Well, he had a soft chin. I mean, he had a hard chin because he took hits real well. But they were, he would like knock the crap out of people.
Yeah, they called him a bully.
But
he was a bully.
He would lose the match
on points.
So because
he's wait too long to do that.
Right.
Yeah, there's like scenes where he's watching the clock. Like,
right.
Why are you waiting?
I don't know if that's like legit, but like he'll have like a great round where he like knocks the guy on the ground.
Yeah.
And like the Sugar Ray Leonard one where he knocked him out and
First time dead on his feet.
But then he got up, and then in the real life, like Sugar Ray then has a pretty good fight the rest of the round. So he's a crowd favorite. In real life, he was the crowd favorite because when he hit him, and they knocked him out. So it was more fun to watch him like knock him out. So that was kind of true because the crowd would like boo when he'd lose.
I think he really liked to be the entertainer.
Possibly.
Yeah. He was giving him the show, and then in the end, he didn't get the points because he was too busy putting on a show.
Well, and I think he just maybe wasn't as thoughtful or strategic a fighter.
Yeah.
He was like a brawler.
Yeah, I think the strategy was lacking for sure.
Yeah.
And he didn't listen to anybody. I mean, they spend most of the fights with them going, "Why are you doing that? Stop doing that."
And that's the part that was, I think it's because Scorsese is not a sports guy.
Yeah.
Because there's no way in heck the real Jake LaMotta didn't have like a team like telling him what to do. Because he changed his strategy for Sugar Ray Leonard the second time when he beat him. And by the way, that scene where he knocked him through the ropes, that was legit. There's a picture of him hitting him in the stomach and going through the ropes. And this is Sugar Ray Leonard.
Sugar Ray Robinson.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Sugar Ray Robinson.
And not the band.
Not the man. Not the guy who's making TikTok videos. So they definitely like he was definitely like that the crowd favorite because he just hit hard and he did crazy stuff, but like technically speaking, he probably did lose those fights.
Right, you do but he certainly it added to the low self-esteem, chip on your shoulder, like you thought you won.
Yes.
You knew clearly you were better.
Well, and from a storytelling perspective too, it's like he doesn't listen to anybody. He wants to do everything his way.
Yeah.
And his
the
way
one
is
stand-up thing he did
sometimes.
was like waiting so long to do anything with the mafia because he wanted to get the title match on his own.
It's a true story, by the way.
And then in the end, he finally throws a fight so he can get the title match.
And he gets the title
doing
match
it for the mafia.
And the sad part is that's what everyone had to do back then. That's the sad part about that era of boxing.
Yeah.
And
but for a minute, you're kind of like, well, maybe I like him because he's like not wanting to do this.
Did you guys feel like, I mean, they kept hinting at like, you got to talk to Tommy. He should talk to Tommy.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't totally get, I mean, until it was pretty laid out, like, hey, you got to like take a fall on this. Like, what was Tommy, who was Tommy? What did he have to do with boxing? I thought maybe it was about getting him a new, like a proper coach or something.
Yeah.
No, he was like,
It
basically,
was
you
confusing,
do
and it was
this,
like,
you get a title match.
In New York, you only get a title match if I say you get a title match.
I think, yeah.
And honestly,
but it took so long to explain those dynamics or why he would or wouldn't want to interact with that guy.
There's definitely parts of the story that are not explained from
and like
perspectives and points.
This is going to be the running joke with me. Like, it's not that I want everything laid out, but there's some stuff where it's like, how would I know anything about this character or why he matters?
Yeah.
In this
Spirited
story?
Away is a good movie. Just because you don't know all the facts, Spirited Away is still a good movie.
Why were those three heads jumping around? Why were they there? What was their job?
Comic relief.
What was their
for
job?
For me, anyway.
Everyone else needed a job. What was their job? To become a baby?
For this, you ready for this hot take?
Yeah.
The movie character might not have been as bad as the real Jake LaMotta.
Oh, yeah. Well, yes, I heard this quote.
Yes.
When Jake LaMotta watched the movie, and he was like, he asked his wife, Vicky, ex-wife,
who, by the way, is more attractive than the actress.
Really?
She
I didn't
is.
look into it.
I looked her up. She's pretty good looking.
She was. I didn't look this up, but that said she was in Playboy in
her
like
50s.
late 40s, early 50s.
Like
And
she was 52 or something.
when there was a picture of her with the actress who played her, I was like, she's prettier. And like, it's just like she's a very... And it's crazy because you realize how young she was because Jake LaMotta looks dead.
Yeah.
And then she still looks like she could be on Golden Girls. Not
Well,
Golden,
he definitely...
like Charlie's Angels. Charlie's Angels, sorry. Freudian slip.
He could have been on Golden Girls.
Yeah, he could have.
Well, anyway,
He looked like...
He's going to go take Sophia out on a date.
His face kind of looks like the mask of it's Friday the 13th?
Michael Myers.
Michael Myers.
Yeah,
A little bit.
I did have some prosthetic issues with
but,
old Jake.
But did you see Jake LaMotta's face in real
The
life?
beginning
It ain't
one with
pretty.
the prosthetic, that
his
part
nose
was like
looked insane,
jacked up. So
and
bad.
then in the movie,
And it
during
looked
the
like
movie, you're
clay.
like, during the movie, you thought, okay, that looks like something,
but
and then
that-
at the end, it was better.
But in the beginning, I definitely remember looking at that nose and I was like,
like
what? This
somebody-
is what we're going to
Somebody
look at?
paid money for this.
Yeah.
But the line, he watched the movie. It was like, wow, I really like that? And she's like, you were worse. Much worse, I think she said.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
Which
And she
isn't
was
surprising.
still like chubby
Like,
enough
we didn't-
with him later on.
I mean,
it
we didn't see
seems.
every time he beat her.
It was
and
the 80s,
Who knows?
guys. Like, I don't think we realize how far we've come. I know people like it's
Well, this was the 40s and the 50s.
exact. What? Yes.
And maybe this.
It was the 50s for her though, because I don't think she. Well, let's do. Because if she's.
I don't know. Time also didn't like they kept showing me dates.
I believe they were married for like 11 years.
Yeah.
I found it. They kept showing dates, and I kept being like, "What was the last date I saw?"
Yeah.
And how old is anyone?
Yeah.
Like,
No one knows.
I kept. It was like you can
Yeah.
keep adding numbers you
I
want.
think it starts 1941
I
and
guess I
he
could have figured out
retires
how
in
old Vicky was.
56. So somewhere in there he's
I mean,
better.
there's a. How much older was Jake than Vicky? Do we
Well, that's a
know?
good question. Okay, we'll go research team on that. Okay, talk about something else for a second.
I'm the research.
Oh, you are? Oh, dang.
That's
who's
the
on the
secret.
research team.
What?
Normally,
What?
where's my computer?
Okay, so Jake LaMotta was born in 1922. Vicky LaMotta was born in 1930. So that's only 8 years.
Okay,
But
so
But if
she's
she was 15,
He's 23.
he's 23.
That's about right. That makes sense. It's his first wife.
So it wasn't. I mean, so he would. No, it wasn't his first wife. That was his second.
no, that's what I'm saying.
Oh.
He's already like leaving his first wife. And,
Yeah. So they must not have been married very long.
And when they're chummy in pictures, like he looks like he's about to die. Jake LaMotta looks like he's about to die. But yeah, but he's only 8 years older than her. And he looks.
Yeah. So it's not as insane
And he outlived her.
in the scheme of things, I guess. But
He outlived her?
when
Jake
he met
LaMotta
her,
outlived-
He only died like 7 years ago.
Oh my goodness!
when he met her is pretty crazy.
She died about 10 years before that, I think.
Wow. Crazy. Yeah. So indeed. So okay, I still
Oh, no.
apparently I need to watch my computers around me. This being the best sports movie of all time, and it is on several lists, the number one. It's kind of cheating because it is a sports movie, but is this would you consider this the snobbiest sports movie of all time? Let's do that. Not the best sports movie, but the snobbiest.
It's not the best for me.
No,
It is-
we'll talk about best in a
It
second.
is snobby.
Yeah.
Is it the snobbiest sports
I'm
movie
trying
of
to
all time?
think of a snobbier sports
Yeah,
movie.
I think it's pretty snobby.
1 is pretty snobby because it's the least fun Rocky to watch.
Man, but he is so freaking charming in that movie.
Oh, you love him. It's true. You love
I
him.
think
It is-
the Natural's a little snobby in the
I don't know. It's,
cinematography piece, and I think this is very cinematography snobby.
I mean, it's black and white. What's going to...
I think it's
What's
pretty
snobbier
snobby
than that?
because you can technically call it a sports movie because there's some sports in it. It's
Right.
about a boxer, but like there's not a lot of sports in it.
I got one that's maybe snobbier. Hoop Dreams.
Well, that was the other option, and I didn't watch that.
Yeah, that would be my.
But it's a documentary,
and that's
I mean,
true. It's not the same thing.
I
Because
don't feel. Yeah, that's not snobby.
no.
That's just facts.
Yeah.
That's just what happened.
Yeah,
this
it's
is
true.
this is someone's
It's
take
true.
on what happened.
Yeah.
And I think this adds snobby points because Scorsese didn't even want to do a sports movie. So this is the most non-sports movie a sports movie could be.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because it's someone who's kind of anti-sport
Yeah.
making it.
I appreciate a lot of things about it, snobby wise. The fact that it's his kind of comeback or last chance movie
Yes.
that he makes.
Yeah.
And then also
important.
because it was so, he thought it was like his swan song, he spent so much time editing this movie. Like he
Which
spent,
is great.
and that's one of the Oscars that it won was the editing.
Yeah, I think
He poured a lot of stuff into it, and I feel like he earned what he was awarded.
Yeah.
it matters in film history too, because exactly what you guys were talking about, like it kept Scorsese making films in America, and it also added the first pairing of Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro and Martin Scorsese.
Sure.
That's right.
And so all this amazing film history comes after these, you know, three got together.
Yeah.
And so you can't ignore its place.
Yeah.
And it is iconic. And there's shots that are so iconic. I love the weird smoky boxing arena. Like there's never walls.
And they had curtains. They had like blackout curtains.
Yeah,
around
it's just
it
like it's
to
just
get-
people fade into nothing, and it's just smoke. And so there's this also weird, like when he's boxing, he's kind of boxing in a void. And like I didn't actually like this, but it was interesting. All the gore, like every time
blood on the ropes. I remember
blood on
that
the
being an
ropes,
important
the
thing
blood
that
on
they
the
wanted
legs.
to.
Oh yeah, when it just splashed everybody
Oh,
like
yeah.
pretty horrifically, but also
That
just
was a little ridiculous. That was Kill
geysers
Bill.
coming
That
out
was
of
like
people's
Kill Bill.
nose, and I thought
eyes and nose.
I thought like,
yeah.
well, that looks weird.
Yeah.
But I kind of like what you're going for.
Yeah.
There's a lot of amazing.
I thought it was very engaging and didn't distract too much. Like it's not any worse than Rocky. Like
No.
like distracting from the fighting in a sense.
Oh, sure.
And you know what's funny is it didn't feel like it was bad. It wasn't as bad as Wesley Snipes trying to play basketball.
No. And Jake LaMotta basically trained him and said, okay, I think you're good enough that you could be a fighter now. So now, like, okay, now you're ready.
Fun facts. Robert De Niro entered a few matches and won 2 out of the 3.
Oh, he did?
That's
I didn't
because
see
he
that.
actually like got pretty good at
That's
it.
dope.
I thought
He
with
was
some
built for it, I think.
I thought with some of
dope.
the choreography, as cool as like the first person view stuff was, which is different than Rocky, you know, where everything was kind of outside the ring. He was inside the ring. It also made it feel pretty stilted when he was fighting. Like to me, it didn't have some of the movement because it was like stay in shot. Like
Man,
we're not going to move around a lot.
Right.
The
I also
Sugar
noticed
Ray Robinson though the
With
look
that big
and just the way he looked like they made him like a skeleton looking guy.
Yeah.
yeah.
And that was crazy because I'm not familiar with Sugar Ray Robinson other than by namesake, but and it kind of looks like him, but I think they must have gone for that more gaunt look because he looks terrifying.
Yes.
And it's
Freaking.
Well, and they're lightweight fighters too. I mean,
Yeah.
middle light.
Middleweight, yeah.
yeah, middle lightweight, but still, I mean, it's still one of the best fighters of all time. That he's going, and he knew. I love that. Like the only guy he respected was Robinson because he's like, I can't do this. I gotta fight Robinson tomorrow. Like because he knows that Robinson's his equal, and apparently. In real life, Robinson's coach
Couldn't do what, Seth?
What?
I can't do this.
couldn't have sex with his wife. Oh no, her girlfriend. His girlfriend at the time.
His 15,
His 16-year-old girlfriend, or whatever. Because they were,
not
yeah,
his wife.
yeah. I forget.
And
That
so
was
he
a
had
very
to,
uncomfortable scene.
Cool down.
Very
Really
uncomfortable scene.
And apparently Paul Schrader wrote a much more graphic version.
Oh yeah, apparently this was way edited down.
Really?
Yeah, to make it
where he actually
past standards.
used ice more vigorously.
Wow. Apparently, Blue Velvet would not have been the worst movie we watched then.
No.
Oh,
No.
man.
Which apparently Paul Schrader said, I was just curious what I could get past the censors.
Let's just see what we can do.
Like,
So, back to boxing.
Sorry.
I love that.
Jeez,
But
guys.
Tangent.
Yes, but I want to just highlight that a Oscar-winning writer in an Oscar-winning movie wrote a scene to just see what could get past the censors. This was not about
That's
art.
the
This
most.
was just
That's the most Hollywood thing. I've
And
ever
still,
heard.
the movie that did get through was like critically thumbs down because of the violence and the
What was?
graphic. I mean, the movie that originally, like,
Oh yeah.
when it first was screened, everybody was like, this was way too
it still got numbed for
much.
everything.
And then it kind of crept up on
Yeah,
everybody. Like, all right, you're going to get 8 Oscars for this.
exactly.
Or
right.
however
So,
many
what were
they
you
got.
want to talk about boxing?
Let's talk about boxing, people. Oh, get your minds out of the gutter, guys. I tell you what.
You brought it up.
I did not. Mariah made me say it.
I was just trying to clarify what you're. I was confused. What?
Oh my gosh.
Wait,
Also-
what?
So
Too many
nobody
soft kisses.
in real life
Wait.
actually wanted to fight Ray LaMotta, and Sugar Ray wanted to fight him, and his manager said, "No, you're not going to fight him," and he did. So the only reason why Sugar Ray and Ray LaMotta had these great fights is because Sugar Ray Robinson really wanted to fight him, which is kind of cool.
Something to prove.
And it's kind of fun because it did go back and forth, but man, and that I still can't get over. Like Sugar Ray was the smooth, like everything was just great boxing, and Ray LaMotta was like, leave yourself open, just brawl,
Just
hit.
take it on the face.
It also kind of goes to show like the times and how much there was no regulation and like you fight this next person because they have the record that you should be.
I don't know.
Like,
It's,
Well, I
there's
think
no,
that's still
like-
pretty true in boxing.
it's still
to some
true.
degree.
Like that's
Right.
still true of boxing, and even MMA. Like there's guys who like no one wants to fight and no one will. That's still true. So that's like
Yeah, it's not totally merit based.
no, it's not, and it's kind of So that's. I mean, it's harder now because like you can't get away with as much because of social media.
Actually,
but
you know, in a movie with a lot of creepiness and spousal battery and swearing, the fact that
Statutory rape.
the fact that Sugar Ray Robinson as a central character, there was like nothing with race
none.
ever even
No,
mentioned.
not one.
No, I think the most that they discussed was the fact that some of those fights went one way or the other, and they alluded a little bit to the fact that they were Italian, and that might have had something to do with.
Yeah,
But it's like, but you were taking the side of the black guy over the Italian guy, which I thought was like, oh,
yeah, and I
Maybe in New York at that time. I don't know.
yeah, maybe.
But no one liked Italians back then. Yeah, it's true. The irony is in real life, Ray LaMotta complained because Sugar Ray Robinson was going into the army, I believe. And so,
Oh, right. They
and
thought it
so
was
they-
a pity.
Right.
a pity because he's going there. So he's like,
Like he's
"That's
gonna
messed
be
up."
out for a while. We
And so they got to give
it
him
to
the victory. So I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like he's the more patriotic one because Ray couldn't
Yeah.
get in because he got beat too much by his dad.
But it did feel like there must have been some amount of appreciation for Sugar Ray Robinson because Joey and Jake never like insulted him as a boxer or a person.
No,
It was like
He was-
the judges.
he was
screwed
the
him.
standard. He
But,
was
like,
the
he
standard.
was
You
the
beat
guy.
him, you're good.
Yeah, and that was like weirdly refreshing in a world where I could imagine this movie like them throwing out every racial epithet in the world, and you would have been
Yeah,
like,
and-
I could imagine them saying that.
Sure.
and they do it in other movies.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
No.
so
but
it
this
was-
had nothing to
yeah,
do with
it was
that.
pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, a crazy thing. This was 1980 was the year that Scorsese finally got the rights for Gangs to New York as well,
Oh,
which he's been itching to get forever, and that was like the one movie he always wanted to make. But he was already into Raging Bull at that point. But it was just kind of a side note, like. But I'm glad to hear that since he thought it was his last song. So I wonder like that when if he thought it was like this is the last movie I ever make. Oh wait, I got the rights to Gangs in New York, which is like my favorite book ever. So, and then he didn't make that for what 30 more
yeah.
years.
I'm wondering
Yeah,
at what
30
point
years.
or for how many years was Robert De Niro Bill the Butcher, and
Yeah, I
And-
guess it was only
Sure.
only 22 years.
Yeah.
until
But he didn't have the rest of the cast, maybe? I
Yeah.
don't know.
Man, I'm pretty sure I prefer the actor who played the butcher.
Oh, of course.
Sure. I would replace some of the other actors, but
Imagine if you're like, I'm sorry, Daniel, we're gonna go with somebody else.
I mean, if it's De Niro over him, I guess I get that.
That would be so funny. I wonder if there's ever. I want to see what movies Daniel Day-Lewis didn't get, if that ever has been a thing.
I mean, probably.
if he didn't get it, it's because he said no, thank you.
Yeah.
Probably.
Not because they wouldn't have
I
given
can't
it to him.
become that person for 4 months. No, thank you.
Okay, guys, you know what I keep doing? I keep going through though. We don't love this movie as a sports movie, and we don't love this movie as our favorite Scorsese or De Niro movies, right?
Nope.
But you know what? It's still arguably the best acted sports movie.
I
don't
don't know
think
about
it's wrong.
acted. I think filmed. I think it's a very well
I think
filmed.
De Niro did great.
Question mark?
I think
Joe Pesci
Joe
was great.
Pesci was great, and
Love
Vicky
Joe
was
Pesci.
great.
Vicky was great.
Yes, she did good.
And like
And then
And
there
I
really
don't
weren't any
remember
other
seeing her
characters.
in any other movie
Sal.
until like way later when she played like the older. What else was she in? That was like 90s.
Right.
What was it?
She was the mom in something?
Kathy Moriarty, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Research team.
Copland, analyze that. Analyze that.
Oh,
No.
that's funny. The
That's
reunion.
funny that she's in that with
She
him,
is that
though.
one. That's funny.
Gosh.
Neighbors,
Apologies.
why the hell soap dish?
Audience. You're probably screaming at
I'm
us.
moving on, by the way.
You're probably screaming at
While
us.
you guys look at
She
that.
was in this.
Casper. She's the bad guy in Casper.
That's funny.
That's what we all know her from.
That's what I know her
That's
from.
super funny.
That classic.
So I'm going to say this, guys.
Oh,
I
that's funny.
still think this is the best snobby sports movie we could have watched.
yeah,
I don't
Snobby,
think
yeah.
I could argue
I guess that's okay.
like it's because it gets us.
What do you argue
It
against?
gets us good De Niro.
I can argue for it.
It gets
Oh, you can
good
argue
De Niro.
for that. I
It
thought
gives
you were
us good Scorsese, classic Scorsese. Like this is a Scorsese film through and through.
What other
This is-
snobby sports movies are there?
Rocky 1.
I don't even know that
That wasn't meant to be that way.
snobby.
It was.
It
It
just
is.
is. It's
It was
it's
just
a
because
character.
Stallone fought
Oscar.
so hard to get it.
Well, I
He
think
won an
because
Oscar.
it's a character study more than you
Yes.
would expect them
and
to
it's
be.
not a true story.
No, but it's great because it's not just a
Yeah.
Rocky. It's not Rocky 4.
Right. Come.
It's not Rocky.
It's not Rocky IV.
He's not a
No.
larger than
'Cause
life character.
As a guy who watched Rocky 4 first and thought, "Oh, Rocky movies are like this," and then I watched the first one like 10 years
I
later.
watched
Were you
Rocky.
disappointed?
I watched
was like-
Rocky 3 first.
Yeah. Hey, Machine Gun. No, that was
No.
that's a terrible one.
That's 5.
That's Mr. T's third.
Tommy Gunn.
Tommy Gun.
Let's
there we
get it
go.
right. Yeah,
Oh my
that was
gosh.
Mr. T. Introducing Mr. T.
Yeah, that's the one I remember.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So they were both 3 and 4 to me at like kind of the same sort of ridiculousness. But when you watch the first one, you're like, oh, it's awkward and like feels like the relationship between him and Adrian is like weird and like
They're a bunch of weirdos
And
just
it's
trying to
just-
find their
They're
way.
awkward. I love
and
them.
it's great.
I love it.
And it's just like it's just like, oh, this is I see why this is good.
Yeah.
Why the other one feels like just formulaic.
It felt like a real
Yeah, it didn't
relationship.
feel like garbage sports movie.
I think
Rocky
two,
IV.
2 and 3, again, rewatching them, not to turn this into a Rocky pod.
Too late.
It's okay.
2 and 3 still do a pretty good job of Rocky trying to become this person he's not.
Yes.
And then by 4, we kind of throw that out. Although I got to rewatch 4. But like, there's this interesting thing where like, but one, Rocky Balboa is such a compelling character. And Sylvester Stallone plays it so freaking well.
Yeah, it's great.
Where you're like, you are a dumb oaf who just really is sweet on this girl, and you're trying every trick you have to like, let me tell you a dumb joke every day.
Yeah.
and I'm gonna buy a bunch of turtles and fish because I
charming
just want to
as-
be in here.
They're
That's so
charming as
great.
And
heck.
she's so
So good.
weird and awkward.
so
And her
awkward.
brother.
Oh, and he's the worst.
No, I'm telling you, Rocky 1 is really good.
It's so good.
And so
I was blown away by how well acted and written it was.
It really
Sure.
is.
We watched
It's
Sure.
still Sylvester Stallone's best.
It's also compelling because you know how hard he fought for it.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes you also love Scorsese because of what was on the line for this movie.
Yeah.
Like those are the charming stories, not
Yeah.
the characters' morals or
Well, and I think Raging Bull suffers from being a biopic. We have to get from point A to point B.
he did marry a 16-year-old. He was married before that.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
these
Like-
are things that they had to tell in the story. You can't pretend that
Well,
that didn't
and it's
happen.
like I think even just the time
She's
jump,
not a quirky librarian type.
I think the other thing that we lost in the script or the edit or something was like him going from boxer to wannabe comedian.
Yeah.
Like that jump happened.
Nightclub guy who just kind of like, hey, I got a microphone.
Right.
And I think he just got carried
Like
away
we just
with it.
jumped to that where he never really even hinted at it
No.
before in the movie. So I think to me, there's like connective tissue issues.
Well, and also there was supposed to be a sequel to the movie Raging Bull,
Now that's fun fact.
but it was MGM or whoever produced it.
Raging Bull 2 Electric Boogaloo.
said no, you can't use that name. So they changed it to
Rocky 4.
no. Yeah. What's the other nickname he had?
Well, it's Raging Bull or the New York Bull or the what
Something.
was it?
The
It was
Bronx Bull.
Bronx Bull.
Bronx
There you go.
Bull.
Yeah, so he was going to change it to that, and then of course it fizzled out. Well, maybe he made it. I don't remember.
What would that have
But there's a sequel.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, well, where do you take it from there?
Yeah. I think going back to my hot take
Yeah,
that Rocky's better.
sure.
Rocky is easily more enjoyable. Obviously, you want to root for Rocky.
Even if you don't like boxing.
Even if you don't like boxing, it's so charming. This one, you have to overcome how awful Jake LaMotta is.
Yeah.
And then, even if you're in it for the boxing, I think if you know boxing history, you'd be like, oh, yeah, I remember this fight or that fight. But they go by in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And I think how the scenes are portrayed, it's not a good view of the boxing match like you would see in Ali or Rocky or any of, a lot of other boxing movies. The fighter.
No, it's stylized.
It's like we're in his head, and it's like fantastical. It's not a real version of a boxing match. Like there's no way he just stood there going, hit me, hit me, hit me, and literally just stood there.
Yeah.
There's no way. Like it wouldn't look like that in real
Rope-a-dope,
life.
baby.
Yeah, but it didn't look like that. He didn't stand in one spot.
Did you watch the real fight?
Seth, there's no way. Research team didn't have time to watch the real fight.
No.
So I watched it because it's called the Massacre on St.
They did use the real audio of the announcers when he's like he's getting beat to hell or
because
whatever they said.
it's rough. It's and the last barrage of hits where they call it felt like the movie.
But did he go? But in the movie he looks perfectly fine,
Yeah.
and then he goes, "Come on, hit me," and he drops his arms purposefully.
Yeah. No,
And he gets beat to hell.
He's this the whole time. He's
It's
like,
not like, so to me, the movie, like to me, that got into like, oh, he's doing his thing again.
Sure.
But it was like, no, it wasn't that. He was just getting the crap beat out of him. So I think that's where I think that's where the Scorsese failures happen from.
But Scorsese always said he's
sports-
not gonna. Yeah, and he fully said, "I'm not gonna make it look like a realistic sports movie."
Right.
He never.
But then
never
he,
for a
but he
second.
also did some stuff that was realistic. Like he specifically put in that bloody rope.
That was dope.
And like
I thought that
the
was
bloody sponge, because he was like, I saw boxing and that's what I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is a horrific thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And those touches are like amazing and powerful, but they kind of like, I don't know. It doesn't. The rest of it doesn't feel like a genuine boxing match, and it wasn't supposed to. And like that's fine. But I think.
But it didn't feel like.
But no, it also sometimes was awesome.
It was awesome. Like
Sometimes.
All the actors looked like they knew what they how to box.
Yes. Well, and clearly he knew. Well, but I think that was my issue sometimes with choreography was I know De Niro can move around like a boxer, but sometimes the cinematography required him to be pretty static.
Yeah.
And it stopped feeling like he was a good boxer. It started feeling like he had to sit in this one spot. Okay. But it told this story it tried to tell. And I love how we just went tunnel vision in the ring.
Oh yeah, that's
like
great.
the smoky
Because they covered it in black curtains and
we've
smoke.
heard this.
It's
It
dope.
was great.
It's still sweet. I love
It
it.
was good.
But it was awesome
It
and
did
like
make you feel it did.
interesting. Like it wasn't about the crowd like you see in a lot of Rockies and stuff.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say too that it didn't show Vicky, and in Rocky you see Adrian so much during
she's
the
out
fight,
there. Yeah.
like cringing, covering her face. The only time they show Vicky during a fight, she does cover her face, but it's the one. I think it's the one that he threw the fight.
Yeah.
And she's just like, oh my gosh, good grief.
She covers her face when he's getting beat down by Sugar Ray too.
Oh, that's
'Cause
the one.
there's
Because there's
blood
only
too.
one part, I think, where they show her during a fight.
One was like, yeah, it was two different reactions. Again, well acted. It's just hard.
So well acted. I mean, there's so many things from a craft perspective.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It is, and there's sports movies aren't done this well usually.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part about like trying to pick the best sports movie, because really we want to pick a movie that's closer to the genre than this is, because this is closer to a gangster film than it is to a sports movie.
Well, and if you want to watch a good sports movie, you already know the story. So you're really just looking for somebody to make it kind of Hollywood for you, and
the
you're
movie,
like happy about it
I
the
think
whole
that
time.
we would have been more liked more would have been like Pride of the Yankees, because it's one that like I haven't seen. It's always on the top lists, and it's got the chops to always be on the top lists. But I don't know. Yeah, that's good. Have you seen it?
I've seen that's one of those. I've seen clips of it.
Right, but I've never seen the whole thing.
Sure, I've definitely seen clips.
I think that gets into an old school. Like I think that with this, at least the craft.
Yeah, it's 1980 and it's Scorsese, so
is like good.
It's so.
I think the other one you'd be
Pride
like,
of the
this
Yankees,
is pretty flat.
It's you already know the story. You just want it to be
Done right.
Hollywoodized.
Yeah, true.
And Gary Cooper, it was Gary Cooper.
Okay.
Yes,
I think so.
As much as we've
does a good job.
not loved this movie, I'm so glad we watched this movie.
Oh, 100%.
Sure.
Like that's the other thing about
Absolutely.
like nothing
Check it
about
off the
this.
list.
It's a great snobby movie.
And honestly,
it's-
of all the Scorsese movies, I think because I hadn't seen the movie, that was exciting.
Well, honestly, I haven't seen that much young De Niro, and certainly not that young Pesci, and that was really interesting to watch them in that time in their lives.
Yeah.
I have my thoughts watching this was like confession. I have not seen Taxi Driver.
I have seen a lot of
You haven't
it.
seen all of it? Oh, because that's like the most.
Put it on every movie we're ever going to watch.
Yeah.
Maybe not every movie. I did see Rear Window and Shining.
Yeah, you said several of ours. Yeah.
But a lot of them, it'll be like, I feel like I've seen all this movie. And then you watch the whole thing, you're like,
I didn't see any of this.
I didn't know this was
I
there.
do not remember
The
that.
nice thing about this movie was I didn't know where it was going to go. I didn't know if he was going to beat Sugar Ray or lose to him. I mean, you can kind of tell, but
I knew
like,
nothing about his life.
yeah,
Oh, yeah. As far as the boxing went, I didn't,
Oh, no
I didn't
clue.
know how good he was at all. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, he was a champ? That's cool.
yeah. And he got there. And,
Hey, another fun fact, Taxi Driver related. Jodie Foster wanted to be Vicky,
oh, how funny.
and she was seen as too young, so she did kind of a titillating photo shoot that got spread around to like prove like she's a woman.
Ugh,
So that's kind of creepy.
that's funny.
So maybe it's not a fun fact.
She
but it's a
never would have
fact.
been good, though. I
No.
don't think. Underage
know.
prostitute? Yes. But no.
But people thought her as too tomboy and too young.
Flat chested, maybe. Sorry, Jody.
Judgy McJudgy.
Not till Maverick did you look at Jodie Foster differently.
So I still think I would like to see another sport. And this wouldn't be my top sports movie. So let's go ahead and say our top sports movies just from the ones we like, because I don't think
Not
this
just
makes
not necessarily snobby, just ones we like.
just ones we like, because I think when it comes
8
down
Men
to
Out.
it,
Oh, that's a good one.
that's a good one. Yeah.
Bull Durham.
Yeah.
Well, Durham, that's actually a pretty good one. That's on all the top 10 lists.
Major League.
That's an amazing choice.
The Natural.
Okay, top 3, guys. Give me top 3.
Oh my God.
Top 3.
Hoosiers.
Hoosiers is actually arguably one of the best sports movies of all time. And that's more classic to the genre.
Caddyshack?
It's on the list.
Seen it so much, but I wouldn't probably like.
If I could cancel out all the Rodney Dangerfield,
Yes.
Caddyshack would be one of my favorites.
Speaking of cocaine, that's how
Yeah.
that movie was made.
Yeah.
Experience.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
bad. Caddyshack is so.
Just
I
give me Gopher.
don't know. Happy Gilmore's better than Caddyshack. I don't know what's wrong with everybody.
Happy Gilmore's great.
Happy Gilmore's
It's good.
way
Not
better.
better.
Oh, okay. Let's go by sport. This is way easier. Okay. Favorites. We'll go
Got a lot of
easy.
baseball.
Golf first. Happy Gilmore. That beats Caddyshack for me all day long. And don't say the greatest game ever played. Come on.
No,
guys.
nobody's going to
No
say
one's
that. Unless you want to nap.
What about Legend of Bagger Vance?
Oh, I like that movie.
Oh.
That's a good one.
That's a great cast.
Yeah.
Probably the most Oscars in a golf cast.
Sure. So I said are you guys same? Happy Gilmore?
Oh,
Caddyshack
Oh,
over
wow.
Happy Gilmore.
Boo.
Bill Murray and Chevy Chase portions
They're
of Caddyshack.
they're why. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
It's maybe Spalding.
Except for Chubbs. I don't see
Chubbs
how they
is
could.
good.
How do you
is
beat
good.
Chubbs?
I got his head.
Okay.
You eat
Next
pieces
movie.
of shit for breakfast?
Hockey.
Hockey. Goon. No, just kidding.
Goon's a good movie.
Goon's pretty fun though.
I didn't watch a lot of hockey.
Miracle.
Mighty Ducks.
Miracle. I would go. I'd go with Mighty
pretty
Ducks.
great.
Miracle's really good.
Miracle's pretty good.
Also,
I'd go with Miracle.
Slapshot is
Slapshot's hilarious.
interesting.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It's Slapshot is Caddyshack to me.
Yes.
So
It's like slightly classier Caddyshack because it's got Paul Newman.
it's Paul Newman. Exactly right.
Yeah, and Young Me, obviously Mighty Ducks.
Mighty Ducks. Yeah.
Sure, Young Me, Mighty Ducks. And I did like
But Miracle is
was
very
good.
good.
I'd watch Miracle again. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Okay, next one.
Football.
Ooh, that's a hard one.
You know, you got Rudy.
You got Remember the Titans.
Remember the
Love-
Titans.
Yeah, love
Friday Night
Rudy.
Lights.
Yep. Any given
Longest
Sunday.
Yard.
Any given Sunday. Please. That
Yes,
movie's.
sir.
I mean, speaking of actors,
Oh shoot. Who is the linebacker? who's
Jerry
actually
Maguire.
in Any
Jerry
Given
Maguire's
Sunday?
actually legit.
Jerry Maguire.
Yeah.
Who was a little crazy. The Shark.
Stealth. Oh, the actual one. It's Lawrence
Yes.
Taylor.
Lawrence Taylor.
It's
yes,
actually in
LT.
it. Yeah. No,
He's
a lot
good
of
in that.
male genitalia in that movie too.
Yeah, there was.
Which movie are we talking about?
No,
Why
you
haven't I
heard
seen
it.
it?
Any given Sunday.
Oh yeah,
Jamie
I have
Foxx.
seen it. Yes. Cameron Diaz.
Cameron Diaz has
Cameron
a BA
Diaz.
boss.
Oh yeah, she was great in
She's
that.
great in that movie.
That was a good movie.
Hoo-ah. We got
Yeah, I'd watch that again. What about the prison one?
Longest Yard.
Longest Yard, yeah.
Which version? The Adam
Yeah.
Sandler version?
I know the old one. The old one
Burt
with Burt.
Reynolds.
Burt.
Bert's in both of them.
He is in both of them. That's right.
Why
You
wouldn't
made
he
me
be?
Why wouldn't he? What else is he doing?
Yeah.
I got fun
No one.
for Remember the
We Are
Titans.
Marshall, guys. No, not We Are Marshall.
I mean, that exists.
All right.
Yeah. I really love Remember the Titans.
It's still good because it is. Yeah. It's
Oh,
I say Rudy.
we
do
also
not.
forgot the Water Boy.
Oh.
Footballs for the devil.
Foosballs for the devil. Oh, that's so
Mama
good.
said,
Yeah. No, I'm gonna stick with.
because I got all those teeth and no toothbrush.
Okay, the hardest one.
Well, wait, we still got basketball.
Oh, basketball.
Hoosiers.
Or Coach Carter.
No, Hoosiers.
Okay.
What
I mean,
was the
documentary?
Blue Chips?
Blue Chips was dope with Shaq.
Semi-pro.
Semi-pro with Will Ferrell. That is
Pretty good.
underrated.
I mean, Hoosiers is pretty good.
I love it.
I'd probably go with
It's,
Hoosiers.
I'd probably go with Hoosiers,
it's my
too.
husband's favorite. I've seen it a bajillion times
Air.
because of him.
Air's really well
Not
done.
quite a basketball movie, but kind of a basketball movie. It's
Good. It's good.
It's good.
Yeah. Also, Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. Good book.
Baseball?
Baseball's a hard one, but I know Moneyball.
I was gonna be mine. I think.
That's Moneyball's my favorite. I can watch
Men
it every
Out.
time. 8 Men Out.
I rewatch Moneyball a great deal when I want to feel like I can solve this problem.
Exactly right.
Data.
We're going to get another World Series by doing this.
Oh wait, no, we're gonna get sold to Las Vegas.
Yes. And is Moneyball, as the movie tries to tell us, a lie? Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
But it's a fun lie.
super fun lie. I love it.
An entertaining lie.
Yep. I was listening to a podcast with the author of Moneyball, and one of their things is like, so now that you guys like
Michael Lewis.
Michael
Also
Lewis,
has a good
thank you.
Podcast for
Yep.
you podcastites.
For your podcast, he does have a good podcast. He was saying how when they're starting to do all this research about like underrated players, they started to apply it to their investing. So they found if there was a top 500 Fortune company with a CEO who was under 6'2" and not white, they would invest in it because people who are over 6'2" and white male usually get into those roles statistically.
So they're probably
there by looks, because there's actually been presidents we've had who look like presidential people, so they get voted that way.
interesting.
Not recently, but in the past.
Well, they're all still tall.
They're all still tall. It's true. And they're usually tall white guys.
People
So
over 6
if
foot.
you get a short, and even Barack, he's tall too.
Yeah.
He looks
Oh,
very
yeah.
presidential. So like you definitely have this. So they only invested in companies that had people that were under 6 foot and were not white
Undervalued.
males. Undervalued.
So Moneyball for you.
What about you? Is 8 Men Out and Moneyball as well?
I think I go Moneyball, but shout out Major League.
Major League
Shout out
West.
Bull Durham.
And for me, Sandlot Gang. That's my number 2.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, Sandlot is about childhood more
Yeah.
than baseball.
100%.
But like it's the backdrop.
I mean, but
And
what
it's
movie is really about the sports? I mean, let's be real. None of them.
It was kind of-
For Love of the Game.
Oh, I do love For Love of the Game.
It's a good movie.
Clear the Mechanism,
I
baby.
do like it. I do.
That's
like it.
kind of reminded me that the smoky black boxing ring felt like clearing the mechanism.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Just looking at the other guy.
Yeah, and even the intro to Raging Bull was like that, smoky.
Oh, I loved the.
What is
slow
it?
motion
I think
shadow
I'll miss you.
boxing.
Yeah.
I think I'll miss you most of all.
Boxing movie.
Scarecrow.
Rocky
Fighter
Fighter was very good.
That was good.
was really good.
New Creed's also good.
Well, you know why Creed's so good? Because it's the exact same story as Rocky.
Yeah.
But it's
Creed is
Creed.
dope though.
And we've got the legacy of Apollo, to
Right.
double legacy, Apollo and Rocky.
Yeah.
Eye of the Tiger, baby.
I'd say Rocky one.
MMA. Warrior. Here Comes the Boom.
Didn't
Also
So
not a
good.
terrible
Not
movie.
a terrible movie at all.
And actually going back to boxing, Real Steel.
Hey,
Real
The
Steel.
Hugh Jackman sci-fi robot boxing movie. Not bad.
what about bowling?
Obviously,
Kingpin.
Kingpin.
Is there any other?
Is there
bowling
any-
movie?
Nothing.
Michael J. Fox played a bowler in a movie. What was it?
I have no idea.
I don't know. He's a professional bowler in a movie. I'm gonna look that
But
up.
yeah.
Research team.
Kingpin.
Yeah.
Okay, next
Kingpin.
sport. Racing. Ford versus Ferrari.
Talladega
Yeah.
Nights.
Yes.
Nice has to be up there.
I mean, Ford versus Ferrari is like
I didn't watch that either.
Talladega Nights is
Oh,
great.
I could watch Ford versus Ferrari every week. Like it's just
Um,
so rewatchable.
Drive, was that the one with Daniel Bruhl and Thor?
No.
That one?
Oh, was that because that was Hunt versus
That was
Lauda?
Yeah.
thing.
Is that was that Drive or was that
Or is that the Sylvester Stallone one?
Rush? Is the one with Thor?
Okay, Rush. Drive.
Yeah, Drive is something else. Yeah, Rise out.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Seth David Films. Looking for a luxury wedding videography company in the Salem, Portland, Eugene area? Look no further than Seth David Films. Their team of experts is dedicated to capturing your special day in stunning high-definition quality. With years of experience and an eye for detail, they will create a personalized wedding film that you'll cherish for a lifetime. From intimate elopements to grand celebrations, they offer a variety of packages to fit your needs and budget. Contact them today to learn more about their services and how they can make your wedding day unforgettable.
Welcome back, guys. We have been going through some random sports movies, which we decided Talladega Nights is the best sports movie of all time.
Totally.
Unanimously. Not true. But it's still pretty great.
I want to go fast.
If you're not first, you're last.
What about Little Rascals? We're talking about racing.
That's a legit call.
Right?
Right? I mean, I like it.
There was a soapbox race.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still better than,
It probably had about as much sports as Raging Bull did.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. That's
Certainly.
Whoopee. Like, it's just like, that's.
Trade you a pickle for a nickel.
I got $1.
I got that.
This is how snobby we are, everybody. Reciting the lyrics to
Hey,
the modern
Reba McEntire in a movie.
Oprah.
That's still good.
Not Oprah.
Whoopi Goldberg.
Whoopi. Wow.
Whoopi. Whoopi.
Wow.
Hey,
Cut
there's
that,
your
cut
mom.
Got that.
Whoopi.
Don't worry. We're not going to replay that one
Cut
over
that,
and
cut
over
that.
again.
We're going to not mention Little Rascals.
I thought we were talking about the color purple.
Oh,
Yeah.
my gosh. Oh, there we go. Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Bring them together. I thought we were talking about Star Trek.
You haven't seen
I thought we were
The
talking about
Color
Star Trek The Next Generation. Whatever.
That's Whoopi.
It's always Whoopi.
How
That was
dare
Mom
you.
at the murder mystery.
Dare you?
Okay, so if we were going to pick a drink for this movie, what on earth would it be?
Champagne.
No, it would be a hard.
Because they were pushing it at all the young girls at the bar.
That's true. They were. It would have a roofie in it for sure. Whatever.
It was spiked.
Jeez.
Something was
Oh.
spiked.
I would say this is what are those like high alcohol beers from like the 90s, like the malt liquors or whatever.
Oh,
Like that.
I
Oh,
don't know.
like this.
But something you'd put in a bag or you walk
Something
down
like it's
town
not
in New York.
Yeah, definitely not something like you want to be seen with. You know.
I think it's
Already-
like a bourbon that really hurts when you swallow it.
Yeah, no, not even a bourbon because that like just whiskey, just bad whiskey.
Something that punches you in the face, you know?
Punches
Yeah.
you in the gut, knocks you out of the ring.
Really messes up your nose.
Yeah, that pretty boy. Why you say he's good looking? Huh? Why'd you say he's good looking?
I knew that was going to happen.
Why you saying he's good looking? What do you mean?
He ain't pretty
What do you
no
mean by
more.
that? He ain't pretty no more.
Pretty normal.
No, this is a movie and a half for sure. I am
Doozy,
glad
some
we
say.
watched it. Some
Wasn't
would say
it a doozy?
It was a
Was
doozy.
it easy?
Do we suggest watching this over any other Scorsese movie? No.
No.
Any other De Niro movie? No,
Well,
for
over
sure.
New York.
Well, sure, but
And maybe over The Irishman.
well, just because you don't have time to watch The Irishman because it's 17 hours long.
Because really, haven't we?
But if you want
already
to watch
seen
De
it?
Niro age
Yeah, that's right. There we go.
as kind of an unlikable
We'll do, like,
character, you just watch this one.
Taxi Driver. Watch this one, and then watch.
Departed. And Gangs of New York.
Stardust. Was that De Niro?
I think that was.
That's not terrible.
That's not terrible. I
haven't
enjoyed
seen
it. All right, guys. Well, this has been an adventure in knowing how not to live your life.
Not
Definitely a
guidebook.
model.
The
to
moral
not
of this
follow.
story is to not.
Don't be your wife.
Yeah.
do that.
And if you're in a relationship with a guy who is like this, you should go immediately. Leave.
Yeah, there are
Get help.
resources.
There are numbers.
Oh, it's just rough, and it's just but again, you feel bad, and that's the point, and that's what Martin Scorsese does well. He does these tormented characters.
Guilt. Catholic guilt.
That's true.
And, no one really had a happy ending. It's not like this worked out.
Yeah. No, I mean his comedy career seemed like it was really taking off there. At the end.
I mean, yeah, he had shows. I don't know how many people went.
Did not laugh one time in the movie while he was doing and speaking.
Oh, it was rough.
Comedically.
Oh, all right. Until next week, guys. Thanks for listening. We hope this has helped you get a little, understanding of what can be and can't be to becoming a movie snob. And in the meantime, keep subscribing, keep listening, and we will see you next week on How to Be a Movie Snob. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.